living so that others may die seems a bit ironic. You're used to hearing people say things like, dying so that others may live. But I really think Buddha was right, and I really think that the best thing we could do with this world as it is, and human nature as it is to reject it. Totally. It's that simple. So you say, maybe I should just kill myself? Yeah, sure. Easy. Easy done. But I don't want to have to come back here and complete my mission. And that sounds a bit strange, having a mission. A bit narcissistic, maybe. But it's an impulse, it's an idea that I have. The idea that there's something I need to do before I can escape here. And it's not some other force or power that's forcing me to do this, it's my will. And if a soul has a will, if a soul has desires, which is probably the only way to explain why a soul would incarnate, unless it was tricked, unless it was forced to incarnate, as any of the beings that we experience. So assuming, entertaining the idea that the soul has a personality, has qualities, which is logical, because the soul isn't just something non-physical. The idea of non-physical is absurd, it's meaningless. Wittgenstein would say we shouldn't talk about such things as non-corporeal spirits because they mean nothing. It's senseless, stupid, empty words. So if something to be aware, it must be something. Even Descartes got that. You can't have thoughts without something having thoughts. They don't just exist. I mean, you have to have thoughts, so you have to be to have thoughts. And if there's a soul, there's some sort of spirit which exists before we are what we are, and which will exist after we are what we are now, then it probably has desires and impulses, and the most likely explanation for life is that the soul simply gets bored. All those people waiting to go to heaven, I think they're going to be bored shitless, and after a few years, or maybe, who knows, decades in heaven, they probably freak out and desperately want to escape heaven, even if it means going to hell, just for a change. Because, okay, that's human nature, and how can we explain a spirit, soul, entering into this and living in this shitty world that we fucking inherited, in which we reproduce by our own actions and by our own nature. The nature of this being, not the nature of the soul, hopefully, but the nature of this animal that I'm incarnated as. So yeah, sure, to say Buddha is right, and I always said this, that as far as I understand, Buddha has been censored, because I'm sure the logical conclusion of anybody who understands his teachings is that this world isn't going to be perfected, and that humans are not going to be ennobled. It's just not possible. It's not the nature of humans. It's not the nature of this world. We can't perfect it. We can't make a utopia from it, and most people don't want to. That's their nature. Now, if it's the nature of their soul, then it makes perfect sense that that nature would create this world. You know, the world as will and representation. And it's quite possible that having experienced what we thought would be good and entertaining and satisfying, that once we actually made that real and found that it wasn't what we expected, maybe then we will be satisfied as a soul and move on to something else. And I think my fault, my mistake was in thinking that I could perfect this world and this being. If not perfect it, at least optimalize it. And I haven't found any allies. I have not found people wanting that. There's people claiming they want such and such, and they face ethics and morals and such, but maybe someone, even St. Francis of Assisi, he was still stuck in the cult of Judah subsidiary called the church, but he came closest, I guess. St. Francis of Assisi and Buddha came closest, and for all we know they probably preached death as the only salvation and only ally. Death after rejecting the world, not just rejecting your place in the world, your bad luck, not just saying, oh, slavery is okay, I just don't want to be a slave, so I'll kill myself and come back as a slave master, but rejecting slavery. You have to read my books to understand what I'm talking about, really. You can kid yourself that you understand anything I'm saying, that we're on the same level, etc., but probably you're not. And look how old I am now, at 50. At least 50 years of suffering in this life. And I've really pursued the truth. I was really willing to accept the truth, whatever the truth was. And I have to be honest now that the truth appears to be that the only way forward is to escape this world. And Buddha explained how you do that by rejecting desire of this world, in this world. And I'm a bit more precise, and I have the courage, unlike a David Hume even, and more like a Socrates than a Plato or Aristotle, or even a St. Francis of Assisi, I guess, to state this obvious fact that the logical conclusion is to reject this world, and living in this world while rejecting it is just absolute misery. You're not going to walk around looking like a saint and with a glow about you and happiness and joy because you've found some secret. Because everywhere you look you will see the world, and you'll see what's wrong, and you'll see what you want to improve, and you'll know people don't care, don't want to listen. They actually want the world as it is, as crazy as that sounds. And my mother once told me that I should kill myself and leave place for somebody who wants to live, and in a sense that's true. Somebody who wants to live in this world should be entitled to. If they want to slavery, they want misery, they want to use other beings as means to their ends, if they're willing to accept being used as means to other beings' ends, if they're willing to accept being the victim of cruelty and exploitation and slavery, then yeah, accept the rules. That's the rules of this planet. What you do is everyone fights, everyone's competing, trying to enslave each other, trying to rip each other off, trying to screw each other in many different ways. And that's this world. And people like me thought that's stupid, that's not satisfying, and that's just bound to lead to personal misery. It's just statistics, it's just logic. But it seems to me most people do want that world, and they don't want to be victims of that world, they want to be beneficiaries of it, but they do want the world as it is. They do want slavery, and they do want cruelty. I know, what can I say? And I realise this. So getting back to my opening statement that I'm living so that others may die sounds very strange, right? And of course we're used to saints and prophets saying I'll die so that others may live, but I really think living in this world is the punishment, or the consequence at least, of being ignorant, and the consequence of having an evil nature. You know, you even if you inherit evil world that we have, I've worked out ways you can optimalize it so it's not so evil. It will never be perfect, but we could work towards perfection, and it would be a million times better than what it is now. We could do that, but people don't want to do that. So the thing is, they've chosen this world, and even if you inherit this world and have no choice in how the world is, then you look at the world and then you accept it and you go along with it, and then you reproduce it in your actions, And even worse, having children who are going to reproduce the world over and over and over and over again. Reproducing by your actions, that's limited to your life. But having children who are going to reproduce it by their actions, and having more children and having more children, that's making this world eternal. So basically, I'm living so that others may die and not reproduce. Now it sounds a bit weird, but what I'm saying is, really my greatest motivation is to make everybody free, internally and externally, to live this world anytime they choose, by the means they choose. And to do that, it's not just enough to offer people to make universal euthanasia available. It would not be enough for me to make it possible for you to go down the shop and buy a vial of Nembutal for $10, subsidised like Medicare. Yeah, that wouldn't be enough because you'd be too scared to use it, and the wrong people would use it for the wrong reasons, probably, and they just end up back here. The slave who still likes slavery will come back here, hoping to be a slave master this time, but the odds are you come back as a slave, because that's statistics. And the people who want to come back, who want to die because to hurt somebody, or even just so they can come back to revenge on somebody, these are all things that the Tibetan Book of the Dead deal with. All the motivations why you may come back. If you desire something in this world as this world is, then you'll get it. You'll come back to pursue that desire. If that desire is great sex, then you'll come back to pursue that desire. If that desire is wealth and power, then you will come back. You'll new incarnate to seek power and wealth. If you want revenge, then you will new incarnate to seek that revenge. We're not saying you'll get it, but your motive, your impulse, your motivation will be to seek it, and therefore you will get what you want. You'll come back to this world. And maybe I'm a really old soul. Maybe I've been in this world so many times now that I've just learnt my lesson. As a very stubborn soul, but I learnt my lesson maybe. Or maybe my life has just been particularly eye-opening. And maybe my nature that I inherited was just suitable, to be honest. Because it's about honesty. And it's very hard to be honest. So when I say I will die at the drop of a pin, because it's the only solution really to this world that's going to be successful. And that may help me escape. But I really think at the back of my soul, back of my being, that I want to help others. I want to give other people the same option. And the option is not just physical. Anyone can buy a rope and hang themselves. It's easy. But most people won't do that. And it's really, really hard to kill yourself. It's very hard. You have to be really desperate and really serious to take really serious measures. And that won't be the solution. That will be a temporary solution if you haven't really rejected this world. If you've just rejected the self that you have now and your current position in this world, if you just reject that and kill yourself, then you'll come back. You won't solve the problem. And it's very rare that people have a chance like me to face the world honestly and to realize what the solution is. And the solution is to reject this world. It doesn't say to reject life. I'm hoping that I can generate new worlds with people willing and who want the sort of world that I want. I think this is a reasonable expectation. And I have nothing to lose. We're all going to die, that's a fact. Whatever you tell yourself and imagine, you're not going to live forever as yourself. And so what do you lose for most people? Of course, if you're rich and happy and good looking and having a great time of life, then live it. Enjoy your life. If you like your life, enjoying it. Whatever, doesn't matter what other people think, but if you like your life, live it until you die, sure. But if you don't, if you're just a slave and your life is miserable and other people are just using you as a means to their ends, then the only way to defeat slavery is revolutionary suicide. But please don't do it until you've read all my books and really thought about it, because you're just going to come back here. And if the ideas I entertain are totally wrong, and somehow, somehow consciousness comes from nowhere and goes to nowhere and disappears, you've lost nothing but a few years, possibly a few years of happiness. But how many people really are happy and satisfied? It's just not human nature. It's actually against human nature to be satisfied, and happiness is temporary. You can't be happy. You can experience happiness. Anyway, I don't want to get too philosophical. My books are full of the best philosophy you could ever possibly hope to come across. And really, if you don't want to avail yourself of my efforts and sacrifice and risk-taking and just read my books for free, then that's the whole point, really, why I'm here, isn't it? Because if people aren't even going to make the tiniest effort, if they're not interested in justice and truth and beauty, if they're just not interested, then there's nothing I can do. And me banging my head against a brick wall doesn't do my head or the brick wall any good. But it's taught me something about banging my head against brick walls. And it's not my responsibility. I don't have any supernatural powers, so I do not have the ability to respond to this situation. So this narcissistic sense of responsibility I had has luckily been purged from my system. Now, I imagined it was just a matter of working really, really hard and discovering the truth and finding solutions. And if you found the truth and you found the solutions, the people would come running and they'd welcome you and they'd work with you. Not as their king with luxuries and privileges, but just as a co-worker doing my particular job. But people aren't like that. So this narcissistic idea that the power of one, that one person can make a difference, that if you build it, they will come. Well, you build it and they'll come and they'll piss on it and they'll pull it down and they'll take the stones of what you built and they'll build prisons and they'll build factories for their slaves and they'll build weapons and they'll build bad stuff from what you did. So anyway, I was just testing it. I don't even know if this microphone was working in the camera. I just plugged this camera in. There was a little bit of sunshine. I thought I'd explain something about why I'm still living, even though my mission, really my ideal persona, if I could be anything in this world, I would be the death of this world. I know that sounds a bit strange, but a compassionate death. I would be there for any being that wanted to leave this world, to offer them a compassionate death, a quick, painless death, to escape. Because I would never have children and then give them the responsibility of trying to change this world, because this world doesn't want to be changed. That's why this world exists. Either the souls that we were before that inhabit these beings wants this sort of world until it doesn't anymore, and then it goes on to other worlds. That, or we've been tricked into this world somehow. And this is a mystery, of course. There's lots of stories that we were created by a gold mining company to work as their slaves, and there's so many versions of that story. It's an archetype, either to justify slavery, or maybe it's actually the truth that we were created as slaves, because it's a fact that we live as slaves and we die as slaves. Even the richest people are slaves. As Buddha would say, they're slaves to their own desires, they're slaves to their own human nature, they're slaves to the nature of this world. Anyway, I've got a sinus infection or some sort of cluster headache. This could become a migraine, and I should relax. But yeah, I would love to become the angel of death for this world as the only constructive, proactive response to this world is to reject it. And even though there are beautiful things in it and there are beautiful people in it, and I've had some positive experiences, as a whole, I have to reject the world. And sure, it's easy. I'm 50, and you would say a failure according to all the worldly measures. And I was born to this. I wasn't wanted. I was never accepted, never welcome wherever I was. The people with less than me envied me, and all the people with more than me despised me. No one really understood me or gave me a fair. Anyway, not about me. So what I'm saying is, yeah, logically, I would die right now. And dying for other people, that's easy. Someone said, look, you go walk into a building, I don't want to be too specific, but someone said, here's an action that will kill you, but which will benefit a billion people, I'd do it straight away. If they said, kill yourself and the world will be vegan, I'd do it straight away. But that's not going to happen. The best thing I can do is endure my life and seek to empower other people to have the freedom to take their lives when they wish. And of course the slave masters don't want this. Anyone who benefits from your existence does not want you to take away your human capital. So in many countries what I'm saying is criminal, but I'm telling you, if someone kills me, that's great. I mean, happy day for me, you know. I don't think I'll come back. I don't think I'll have any hope left for this world. I think I've learnt my lesson. I think my narcissism has been purged. It wouldn't matter how brilliant or perfect or clever I was, or it's not what people want. It's not what this world is about. At the very best, this world teaches you lessons. When you learn them, you move on to better worlds, hopefully. But this world could be a trick, and it could be a trick that the people who made this world and tricked us perpetuate eternally. You may end up coming back into this world over and over again because there's some cunning conspiracy of some beings that produce this world. So I can't promise that's not the case either. So we should be looking behind the scenes and try to find out how we may have been tricked and who may have tricked us, and to save people that way. But anyway, I'm living so that others hopefully may die, in the sense that they may learn to reject this world. Ideally, I would perfect this world. I would ennoble humans, as that's the alchemy of the philosopher. But I'm not a narcissist anymore in that sense. I don't believe I can do that. I know that I've presented arguments which just rock solid. There's no refuting the argument, and people don't want it. They're not interested, because what they're after is their own relief and their own pleasure, and that's all that's real to them. The only thing that's real to people is their own pleasure and relief, their own fear of bad things, their own idea of security, to keep what they've got and to get more, and to avoid pain. So that's what's real to people. And if people think they can avoid pain, and if they think they can get pleasure by torturing other beings and enslaving other beings, they'll do that, because that's their nature. So until they reject that idea and say, look, I do not want to benefit at the expense of another sentient being. I do not want to use another being as a mere means to my ends. I don't want someone other. You have to walk away from Omelas. So those who walk away from Omelas. I would walk away from Omelas, but there's nowhere to go. Yeah, if you join me, I would set up a community somewhere, a vegan nation, and we could walk away from Omelas and go there. But just the thought of having to deal with people and all their petty, absolutely absurd, stupid, pathetic behaviours, just childish and selfish and petty. I seriously hope people don't take me up on this offer. But if people will take me up on the offer, I'll be happy to work with you into attempting to make something a real utopia. Yeah. Anyway, I've got to go to the toilet, and I've got to drink some more coffee and find out whether this recorded anything or not. It doesn't make any difference really, because if this recorded the audio, okay, I can upload it, but no one watches anyway, no one listens. So the difference between me talking to a microphone that works and a camera that works, and talking to a microphone and camera that doesn't work, is like almost zero. So anyway, happy next lives. When you're ready to, hopefully there's other worlds that we can make where we don't torture other beings, where we don't enslave other beings, where we have enough self-control of our desires and impulses, where our desire is to benefit other people. It basically may be a place where there's more people like me, even though you probably don't like me, and quite happy to crucify me and demonize me, because you think I threaten your benefits, which I do. But what I'm saying is, you're not benefiting. You think you are. You think you're getting some pleasure, some success, some wealth and power, and you become George Soros, and you can make the puppets dance, and then you die, fucker. And then you come back here as one of the slaves, because that's your nature, because you want slavery. So happy next life to you, George Soros. Maybe you're dead, I don't know, and you're being born right now in some horrible situation, which you produced. You reproduced it. You may not have produced it in the first place, but by your actions you reproduced it. So it exists, continues because of your own actions. We create the world. We may not have created the world that we inherited, but we reproduced the world. And the world would not go on as it is if we didn't actively and passively reproduce it in our every action. So go vegan. Stop trying to exploit each other and benefit at the expense of other people and other animals suffering. Don't lie to yourself and pretend that you're not doing that, because you are. Even if I buy a good microphone for €100 made in China, it's really wrong. That microphone should cost €300. So I'm not just talking about animals, I'm talking about other animals. I mean, we're all animals, so human animals and non-human animals. But being vegan has to be the first step. Until you're willing to become vegan and live a vegan lifestyle, you really deserve, in the sense you produce your own suffering. As we do unto others, so shall be done unto us. What goes around comes around. And can you really expect that other beings will treat you differently to how you treat other beings? Really? Really? Or you think you're so clever and so powerful that you can escape the consequences of your actions? Really? Okay, well, you inherit this world and you're welcome to it. All I'm saying is that those people who don't want this world should be allowed to leave it. And they're going to probably have to fight for the right to do that. And the last Thracian, who's the ancestor of the Europeans, who tried that was Spartacus, who tried to free the slaves, and didn't end well for him. And another character, or person, who knows, Jesus tried to free even the Jews from their slavery to the cult of Judah. And we saw how that ended. We saw how it ended with Socrates. Aristotle took off, left town. I've left town. I've been living in exile. I could not have done any of this from Australia or Germany, what I've done. Anyway, it's good. Maybe no one else benefits. It's not my responsibility. I've done what I can do. I've asked for help. I asked everybody to help me. Nobody helps me. Nobody wants to help me. So I've done what I can do, and I think I'm not trying to convince you, and I don't want to have to. I'm not going to argue with some God who thinks he's going way up the scales of justice, whether I did more good than bad or bullshit. It's not about that. The person who judges you is you. You are going to judge yourself. Honestly. Now you won't be honest with yourself. Yeah? But when you die and it comes to your judgment, you judge yourself. You're doing it now. You're judging yourself. I'm judging myself now. And, yeah? I'm going to be the one who decides. whether I think I've done what I need to do. And if I haven't done what I needed to do, what I think I should have done, I'll end up back here trying to do it. So, and I think I've done it now. I'm not trying to convince you or convince myself, but this is my last call. As I said, if I die, it's not because I killed myself. I do want to die, and I have wanted to die for a long time, many times. Not because I want to live this world. This world is just, since I can remember, it's just anyone with a brain and ethics and with a soul, with a heart and compassion has to look at this world in horror, sheer horror, and just, what the fuck? This can't be real. It's not real. It can't be real. That's what people will say. It's not real. Because it just can't be real. It's beyond the bounds of a reasonable sentient being's ideas of what a world should be. But I'm not going to. As I say, I want to live, I'll enjoy this life to offer other people the option of, and look for ways to escape it. And this is to help me, because I want to escape it, and I don't think I can escape it until I've done what I set out to do. Because I will have this will, even after I'm not Marcus, I'll want to do this. I have to be satisfied that there's nothing within my power to do. I have no responsibility, therefore no responsibility, and therefore I don't have to come back here. When I was a child, I dreamed of floating up into space and leaving this world. And I got so far away, and then I thought, a sense of responsibility to my family. I thought somehow my family are going to suffer because I've escaped. And I came back. And I was maybe 10 or 12 or something. Now I think if I start floating up, I'm not coming back. But as I say, I'm going to enjoy this life as long as I can. Because it's good for me as a soul, I think. I have to meet my personal sense of responsibility, and I do have the ability to explain things to people that they otherwise would never have understood. And maybe that's narcissism too. Remember, narcissism, the nice narcissism. I'm full of empathy, full of compassion. But anybody who writes a book or makes a video is a bit of a narcissist, because they think what they do matters. They think they can make a difference. So they want to tell you narcissism is a bad thing, it's evil. Because there are a few evil narcissists. There's a few with no compassion and no empathy. But to be honest, most human beings have no empathy or compassion. They're fuckers, all the way down. And if you're not vegan, then you're a fucker. Sorry? I'm not sorry, that's just a fact. If you're not a vegan, you're a fucker. And you earn this world, you make this world what it is by not being a vegan. You reproduce this world as you got it, as you inherited it, and you said, that's fine. You might complain, oh, well, it's me, poor little me, I'm a victim right now. But you're a victim of your own you're hosted by your own petard. So go vegan, support anyone's attempts to become a more ethical person, and if someone really, you should help people make their lives worth living, for sure. And I wouldn't want anyone to kill themselves until they've really given everything a shot, until they've really evolved spiritually, and so that they don't just come back. It's no point just killing yourself and coming back and repeating the thing over and over again, which is what we seem to be doing. So I want to help people. If I had the power, if I was the angel of death, I think on this world, the most satisfying job, the most satisfying job I could have would be to be a philosopher king, and to have the power to actually attempt a utopia. That would be the most desirable thing for me. But if that's not an option, if I have no power to make this world, remake this world in my image, the image that I have for it, and will make it worth living for me, if I don't have that power, then the next best option would be to be the angel of death, an angel of mercy. To make the moment that a being decides, the moment a being becomes enslaved, becomes a victim of something they can't escape, whatever it is, whether it's a disease or even old age or outright slavery, in a prison or whatever. If I could come as the angel of death and offer them escape, that would be the next best option. So, but I don't get those options. So all I am is Marcus. I'm not narcissist anymore. Power of one is absolute bullshit. One has no power at all. The only person you can free is yourself. The only person, no one's going to be saved, you can only save yourself. You can help other people save themselves. That's all I'm trying to do. Help other people save themselves. But if they don't want to be saved, if they're still happy in this world, then I have to accept that and lead them to this world. But what I wish I could do is find every individual who genuinely has evolved, whatever they are, plant, cat, dog, human, horse, any of these that say no to this world as it is, and who really would live in a world where there's no cruelty and no slavery and no exploitation, no opportunism. If I could take all these beings and bring them together and set up a community or another world, another realm, another being, maybe they're here already and I'm getting ready to enter them. If I could do that, that's what I want to do. I don't want to be a Moses like I used to want to. I actually prayed for me to become like Moses, to be Moses. So all you Jews out there who think I'm anti-Semitic, that's rubbish. I wanted to be Moses. And I'm not a heretic, I'm an apostate, because I believed all that rubbish that we've been told. I believe so much rubbish, I just have to laugh at myself. So I do understand your situation if you're ignorant now, and you believe all this rubbish that you've been told. Why would you not believe it if authority tells you, if your parents, everyone seems to believe it? But I don't want to be the Old Testament God, that's for sure. He's a total fucker. And anybody who loves that God is fucked, really fucked up. And there's nothing in that God to love. And being a philosopher king would be like being Marcus Aurelius, and a terrible job, worst job in the world, philosopher king. No way. You know, as much as I could, as well as I could, as long as I could, but I don't want to. It's a horrible, horrible thought to have to manage people, really. But what I want to do is take all those people who are ready and see if we can actually do something. That's simple, because they have a right. And if they can't, then to offer them the relief, the escape of leaving this world, because nobody should have to endure this world. And I really do believe it's a trick. I really believe we've been tricked here. But it may just be that we produced this world because it's what we wanted. It's an experience engine, sort of adventure, you know, entertaining. It somehow got out of control and we forgot. Or like they say in so many stories, that we were created to be slaves to some other aliens, higher beings, whatever. Not higher, but you know, more advanced, powerful beings. That would make perfect sense, because this world, I reject this world like we're. I don't reject life, because I think it's quite possible, easily, if my little Marcus brain can work out a better world than we have, then obviously it's not hard to do. And so there's a reason this world is really, really stupid and evil and cruel. There's a reason for it. It's not just accidental. Because, or maybe it is that I've just evolved a bit faster than other people, and that in 1,000 years' time everything I think is normal will be normal. It's possible too. But I'm not going to take that chance and come back here just in case of that. No way, because I don't really seriously believe that. I'm not seeing the spark in people, apart from a few vegans, and most of the vegans really don't get it fully either. And all those new earthers and fuckers who talk about, it's okay to eat meat as long as it's raised locally, and it's okay to exploit cows as long as you exploit them locally. Somehow doing it locally is better, you know. Anyway, fuckers, love you all. I'm sorry I can't save you. I am. You want me to cry for you? Okay, but to be honest, you deserve it. Not in the sense that anyone deserves it, but you earned it. You're reaping the harvest that you sow every day. And that's my message. I'm just trying to get you to plant seeds that are going to grow for a world that people like me would want to live in. And maybe not people like me. You know, I don't know if there's different souls, just like there's different people. If you love this world, then you're welcome to it, but don't force anybody else to live in it. And really think hard about having children, because when you have children, you make this world, this exact world, eternal by having children. Because if I can't change the world and you didn't change the world, how the fuck are your children going to save the world? And if you don't even want to make the changes to yourself that are necessary, why expect your children are going to? Having children are beautiful. Everyone loves babies and everyone loves small children. They're beautiful. If I could spend my time around animals and small children all day, watching funny cat videos and teaching small children music, and that, for me, that would be heaven. But I have this possible ability to do something more than that, and I've tried, and anyway, so anyway, all the best.